All right, let's talk about some racing. We got a big card this Saturday at Churchill Downs. It's a Stephen Foster card, and the Stephen Foster is a phenomenal race.
Absolutely.
Jon, I thought this race was one of those races that I thought was kind of going to be victimized by the Dubai World Cup and the Saudi Cup and all that. But it has had a resurgence in recent years. And I think this year in particular, it's back up to a grade one. It's a $1 million purse. It is a stacked field. Just mention a couple horses, and Jon, you can tell me who you're interested in. We got First Mission, who's coming off the Oaklawn handicap win, in which you got a 109 buyer. Mindframe, who's obviously a superstar in the making, coming off his first grade one in the Churchill Downs Stakes. Skippy Longstocking, who's a multiple millionaire. Sierra Leone, obviously. Mystic Dan, Hit Show won the Dubai World. Jon, this is a very nice group to headline what has been a historically popular race and historically important race that I'm glad is back at its old perch atop the older horse and handicap division in this time of year.
Well, it's going to be a recognizable signature race again. 6 out of the 7 entries are millionaires, Joe. I mean, that in itself is pretty remarkable. And then you have Ashcroft, but for the most part, you look at the majority of the field, and like I said, 6 out of 7 are millionaires. You have 4 grade 1 winners that won the Churchill Downs sprint, which was a grade 1 7/8 race, the Breeders' Cup Classic. I don't know if you ever heard of that race, Joe. The Kentucky Derby. In Mystic Dan, and then Hit Show, who all he did was win the Dubai World Cup, a couple of weeks ago, and they're all converging together to band together. You talk about the Avengers. These are the Avengers coming together to run in the Stephen Foster for $1 million, and you could just as easily project this field, most of this field, as serious contenders in, if not the Breeders' Cup Classic, then certainly one of the Breeders' Cup races, if for some reason they decide that Mindframe can't go 9 panels at this level, which is a question mark for sure.
Yeah.
Because he certainly came from off the pace, to win the 7/8 grade 1. And it's just a question of, can he get the extra furlong here? But man, you got all kinds of top horses. And I know you and I, have been lauding and talking about how great the 3-year-old crop is. Well, guess what? 3-year-olds, top 3-year-olds in the country. Here's the field, the majority of the field for the Breeders' Cup Classic, in just 4 months away. This is the preview that everyone's been looking for, and it's one important race of Churchill Downs weekend. But Joe, there's a lot of good racing this weekend at Churchill Downs. We have the return of Torpedo Anna from her thumping, of the last race, which is uncharacteristic of her, as far as throwing in kind of a clunker. So is it, hey, we draw a line through it and she's back to form, or maybe like most fillies, when they start to get into their 4-year-old year and later, they hear the knocking of their own reproductive region saying, hey, I want to be a mama.
Usually when the reproductive region starts knocking, Jon, that's a different conversation.
Don't come
for you at least.
Don't come a knocking when the reproductive region is a rocking or something like that.
That's tremendous. Yeah, the biological clock.
That's what I was looking for.
I think that's what you were going for.
That's trademarked, which is why I was steering away from that.
But yeah, this is a pivotal race for her. I wish more than 4 other horses had showed up. It's a $500,000 grade 2. She's coming off the worst race of her career. I expected there to be more competition, but you do have Royal Spa, who won the Shawnee, which was the local prep for this. And then you've got Jin, who had that blowout win, the double dog there, and was second in the Shawnee. I don't know. I was expecting more competition for her. But yeah, she has some questions to answer coming off of that total non-effort in the La Troyenne. It was the first real chink in her armor that we've seen in what has been a phenomenal career.
Right.
So yeah, it's I don't want to bet the race, because I still think she's very, very much the horse to beat. And last time was the time to try to beat her. But from a fan standpoint, it's going to be interesting to see if she can bounce back, and if she's still the grizzly bear, or if as John so creepily mentioned, her reproductive region has been knocking.
And can we just do a quick shout out on Mystic Dan on being having the breeding rights bought by our friends at Airdrie and Brett Jones? That was a coup. That's a coup. That's 2 Kentucky Derby winners now that are going to be standing at Airdrie Farm next year.
Good call. Shout out to the team at Airdrie. They do an unbelievable job.